Hello, welcome back to Smart Martial Arts, my YouTube channel where we go over everything martial arts. In this video, I went online for about half an hour and just went over the internet to find just questions that I could answer from my perspective of martial arts questions. I have a few, they're all in front of me, which is why I'm going to constantly be looking down like this. But the first question I have that I found is, what's a good age to start? So this question is kind of limited because some schools will limit the age, like they'll have a certain age limit. On average, I believe it's 4 to 6, but some schools may have 3, some schools may be later. It kind of depends on your school, but the best age probably is when they can start fully listening and get that, and then also obviously the movement. But I think the best age is probably roughly 5 to 6. The next question is, learning a new technique, should you practice it slow or fast motion? For me personally, learning a new material or learning a new technique, I have to learn it slow starting off, but then once I do it enough and I kind of get the confidence with it, I have to do it fast to make sure that I know it. So I do a mix of both personally, but I think the best and what I would definitely recommend is do it slow. And then as you learn it, keep doing it slow, which is a different video, but slow for learning a new technique. The next question is, how long does it take to become a black belt? It kind of depends on the martial art and where you go. A lot of like Taekwondo, the joke is it's like a 3-year-old black belt. You know, you have 3-year-olds having black belts, but the overall for karate is anywhere between 4 to 5 years on average. You could have people that do it in 3, and you could have people who do it in 6 or 7. But on average, it's anywhere between 4 and 5. After that is, what do you think should be taught and why? Personally, I think everything should be taught. Footwork, basics, forms, sparring, the whole 9 yards. And I personally think all of that should be traditional. I think you should wear a gi, which I'll get into later, actually, in this. But you should be traditional as possible because it works, and it's also just a great discipline for people to be in that traditional and have everything the way it used to be. That's just me personally. The next question is, do you teach the same things to kids and adults? And the short answer is yes, but the longer answer is yes, but we modify it a little bit. Adults, we can show more details at once and kind of explain more. With kids, I'll just show them, explain enough to where they get it, and then as they understand, I'll start to do that. Certain things like certain gun techniques or certain knife techniques, stuff like that, the more complicated and I guess more mature thinking, I'm not going to teach. Like, I'm not going to teach a kid a pistol defense technique because I just don't think there's a purpose. In the younger kid, but maybe in like a teenager, maybe I would. It kind of depends on what rank they are and how long they've been doing it, how much I can trust them to not, mess around with it. The next question is, how would you support a student who was battling to grasp a new technique? So everyone teaches differently. My teaching style is, I'll be in front of the class, telling them what to do, and then I'll elaborate. I'll show them how to do it a couple times, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then I'll ask questions. If they don't have any questions, if I come up with one myself, I'll just answer, hey, this is super important and this is why we're doing it. And then I'll have them do it and I'll walk around. If I notice a student is having a specific hard time on something, I will walk over and I will take like 2 minutes and be like, hey, this is what I want you to work on. And if they kind of look at me like, what do you mean? I'll say, well, this is why we do it, and this is what I want you to work on, and this is how. So I kind of break it down, but my overall teaching style is I'll do it with them. So if I'm teaching someone a new form, I will actually do the form with them. I will start off like, hey, this is how we start, and then I will do it along with them for the most part. Once I know they got it and I'm kind of just walking around and very quickly noticed it, I'll just say, hey, you didn't do this, you can maybe fix that. But just new students and overall people who have a hard time, I will sit down, stand up and be with them and actually talk them through it and show them how to do it. The next question that I found is, how do you continue your martial arts training with an injury? I think it depends on the injury. Let's say you break an arm and there's nothing really else. I would still, no matter what you do for an injury, if you can go back, go back. Because that's where you're going to learn a lot. And it's weird, if you break an arm, you can't use that arm. So there's one thing you can do where you can just focus on your feet. Because footwork to me is very important. So you can focus on your footwork. But if you also don't want to do that, but you still want to do actual like upper body stuff, it'll teach you how to react to certain things. Like in a fight, if you get hurt, and this is kind of like for whatever reason, this is out of commission. Like let's say in a fight or in sparring, you tear something in here so you can't use it. If you practice with it, you can kind of learn what to do. So if I hurt this, right, and I'm in sparring and this hurts, then I'm just going to bring it back and I'm going to practice this. That way, if I'm out in the street, because really, realistically, the person you're going to want to fight is someone who you can actually fight, and you're going to win. So if you see someone with this, like a cast or on crutches, you're probably going to, most likely attack them if you're going to attack someone at all. So I think it's a good practice to practice anytime you can with any ailment, because it's just how you're going to be more, realistic with your sparring. Because out on the street, no one's just going to be like, oh, hold on, I'll stop because you haven't broken up. No, they're going to come after you. So I think it's just a good thing to practice. Kind of related to that, but the next question I found was, will you get hurt? This one kind of depends on the martial art you do. Hard to Hurt on YouTube, who I watch quite a bit. I love him, Icy Mike. I forget his entire quote, but he said that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is like the worst nagging injury martial art, because everything you do is just going to be like a lifelong injury. And I've noticed that to be kind of true. But I think if you don't get hurt at all in your martial arts, I'm not sure if you're doing it right, because a lot of the techniques hurt. That's the point of it. If you're doing a technique on someone or they're doing it to you and you just don't feel pain or you don't feel it, they're not doing it right. And then you need to help them with that. So you will feel pain. Getting hurt, it could be like, if you're running around, you might sprain something. But for the most part, like life-threatening, probably not. Overall, like massive bodily injuries, probably not. But I think it's definitely a possibility that you could roll your ankle. You might break a finger if you catch something wrong. You might break a nose. You could break an arm if someone's going too fast. So I guess the long answer is yes. The short answer is it depends on what you do. Next question I found is, should you tell people you know martial arts? And when I saw this, it was in the context of if you're going to fight someone. This is a weird answer. It depends, one, on the laws of your country, state, whatever. If they say you have to tell people, then yeah, you have to tell people. But if you're in a state or country that doesn't need you to do that, then I'd just say context. If someone's walking up to you like, hey, with the body of, hey, I'm going to fight you, and you're like, hey, dude, I'm martial artist, I don't want to do this, as like a way to get out of it, sure. But if you know that no matter what you say, it's going down, then honestly, I wouldn't, just because you know what to do, and if you can get someone in a way that the minimum amount of hurt, I think that's the best way. Because if you tell them and they want you to, it's going to be a pretty bad thing, because they're going to start like taking chairs, or they're going to do anything you can. So I think it's definitely contextual of when you would tell someone, and just like your overall, if you want to. If you're comfortable sharing that with your friends, family, people that, might be like, oh, he looks kind of suspicious, oh, he's walking up to me, hey, that kind of stuff. So next question, how should I choose a martial art? This one is, this is up to you, I think, is the best answer. Do research of what you want to focus on, and just what you like. If you like a stand-up, then there's a lot. You have Taekwondo, Muay Thai, Karate, Aikido, all that kind of stuff. If you like the ground stuff, there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that was right, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Judo in a way, and wrestling. So you kind of do whatever you want and then do research. Personally, in case you couldn't tell, I recommend Karate, because, obviously, I also recommend Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I also like Muay Thai. And it comes back up here at the end of this paper, but it says, can you study multiple? I think, I'm going to get more of this, but I think you should. So if you start off with one, branch out. If you do a stand-up, add a ground. So if you do karate or Muay Thai, out of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or out of Judo. Mix and match, they all interact with one another. The next question is, why do you wear a gi? So for those of you who don't know, a gi is what I'm wearing here. The black top. It kind of depends on who you ask. I'm not really that versed in the tradition of wearing a gi, so I'm not going to spout off that, but I've read online that it could have like a sense of community where everyone wears a gi, you feel included. It's also just a uniform where you could not ruin your street clothes. Tradition, that's why we wear it. It's a traditional thing. If you want to focus on the tradition of martial arts, you do that. So this is a traditional thing. The outfit, it looks really nice. So I wear a gi because it's tradition in the school I go to, and also I just like wearing a gi. It makes you kind of in the mindset of, oh, hey, this is this. All right, the next question is kind of a long one, but I just have what are the ranks. For the normal, everyday ranks, it's going to be white, yellow, orange, purple, blue, green, brown, and black belt. In your style, that could be messed around, and there could be more. I read that there's a blue belt with a green stripe, and there's also like a brown belt with multiple degrees. So it kind of depends on the martial art, but overall, roughly, that's going to be your the overall beginner, intermediate, and advanced rank way it goes. After that, though, I have the advanced ones, which is where I brought in the black belt. So a lot of people don't know, but in karate, there are 10 degrees of black belt, so I'm a first degree. So it goes all the way up to 10. And when you get to those, you get certain ranks. I did very quick research and also what I knew from my martial art. A lot of people will hear sensei. At first, I thought that was a second degree. That's just a title. It means teacher. You can be any rank in my style, any rank of black belt, and get that. You just have to meet a certain requirement. The next one, which is actually a title, Shihan, is 5th degree. I believe it means master. You get that, obviously, once you're a 5th degree. And for the most part, there's a lot of different names for it. I don't remember all of them, but Shihan is what I know it by. So after Shihan, we have Kyoshi, which is a 7th degree. 6th or 7th, kind of depending on where you look. I don't know that much about it. I don't know any Kyoshi, so I'm not really that experienced in that title. And then the last one is Grandmaster, which is the 10th degree black belt, which you get by either creating a system. So if you are a soak, or a soki, whatever it is, if you're a soak of a system, you're 10th degree. Or if you have like a lifelong dedication, you add a lot to the martial arts, you'll get 10th degree. So 10th degree is really hard to get. It's reserved for very few people who do a certain amount of things. But that's the last one, that's 10th degree, so you're not really going to run into a lot of those for the most part. And if you do, they're probably not going to be the one teaching. You're probably going to run into, probably at most, a Kyoshi teaching. If you have a big school. If you have a smaller school, it could be like a 4th degree, depending on what you want to do, depending on how the school works. Going away from that, we have what should I look for in a martial arts system/school. Look for what you want. If you want martial arts and discipline, find a school for that. If you want a place where you can send your kid to have fun, make friends, learn how to defend themselves, look for that. If you're looking for fitness or just kind of bettering yourself physically or mentally, look for that. It's a very good thing to do, martial arts. There's a lot of different benefits that you can look for in every school. But what you should look for is what you want out of it for the most part. The next question, I brought it up earlier, but can you study multiple styles? The answer, in my opinion, should be yes. If a school is like, you can only do this one, I wouldn't go there personally. But I think you should, because I've noticed, and so as the 5th degree that I know, the Shihan that I know, we always say the martial arts is intertwined, where it all leads into each other. Especially if you have a style that is known for being like Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, very similar. Judo, you throw people to the ground, and then you can transition into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think you should study multiple styles, especially if you do stand-up, mixing it with the ground, as I said before. This next question I saw on pretty much every page of a school that had like a questions page. It's, will it make a kid violent if they do martial arts? The answer is probably a no, because if you have a good school who is very, the school is disciplined, your kid's probably not just going to go around in school or on the streets punching people, because one, they're probably not going to think about it, and then two, if they ever did, they would probably get a stern talking to. I know it's happened in my school multiple times where someone was just like, oh cool, I know this, I'm just going to punch you in the face, and they got a very long conversation. But the short answer is it probably won't do anything to your kid to make it violent, or make him or her violent. And the last question I found is, do I have to restart if I go in between styles? The answer kind of, to me, it seems pretty, I guess, self-explanatory, but the answer is yes, for the most part. If you're going from Taekwondo to Karate, and you're a black belt in Taekwondo, probably like 95% you're not taking that belt in there. Because it's just a different world. You know, Taekwondo is very kicks, while Karate is very stances, blocks, grabs, takedowns, stuff like that. But if you go from a karate style to a karate style, it's possible. If they're similar enough, then you're probably going to be able to keep it. If it's a very popular style of karate, like one school teaches it in the other school, and you just transition, probably, yeah, they teach the same thing there. So do you have to restart? Yes, if you transition between styles, and then maybe if you stay within that branch, as I said. And that's it for the videos, all the questions I have. If I can find more, I might do a part 2 of this. If you guys have any at some point, I might do a part 2 of it, kind of depends. But that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.